life groups. I trust that you're going to be in for an exceptional evening. And I hope that you get some great conversation centered around this thought that God has unfinished business with you. Do you remember we looked at 3 different types of people, and you could identify yourself in one of those types of people? You may be an undertaker who lives life in reverse, talking about the good old days and what has been. Or maybe you're a caretaker who lives just for today, and all I can think about is what I've got on today and what's going on at the moment. When we actually believe that God has called us all to live as risk takers, and risk takers believe the best is yet to come. Risk takers believe their best days are ahead of them, and they are always looking for opportunities to expand and to grow and to do more and to be more. And I believe that God's hardwired us all to be risk takers. We also began to look at what stops us from being a risk taker is what we call the giant of complacency. And complacency sits in your mind, and it's when you're full of good intention, but you never get round to doing the very thing that you intend on doing, and therefore your life remains stagnant. Well, Jesus told us that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy because he wants to take your identity and steal your dreams and kill your future. But he said, I have come that you may have life and you may have it in abundance. That word abundance means overflowing, more than you could possibly cope with. Imagine a life like that. So we're not to settle for half measures. We're not to settle for an okay bunch of friends or an okay marriage or an okay situation. God says, no, I've come to give you a life in abundance. Do you remember I took you on a journey through the book of Numbers, and it talked about Zelophehad's daughters? Zelophehad had 5 daughters, and we learned that each of their daughters had a name attached to their name, a meaning which meant movement, run, walk, circle, dance. They all had meanings of movement attached to their name. And they stood boldly before Moses and said, hey, just because our dad has died, why should we miss out on our inheritance? And Moses took their request for God, and God said to Moses, grant them their request and more. And they initiated movement. They came forward and they spoke out. And it's such a beautiful picture that life may have stolen from you. Life may have presented you with some unforeseen circumstances. Maybe you had a marriage that died. Maybe you've had a friendship that has died. Maybe you have had a job and it's expired and that's died. Or maybe it is a health issue, or maybe something happened to you and it has kept you contained and kept you stuck. And the circumstances around that situation has told you this is all it's ever going to be. But God actually said, I have come to give you life in abundance. And he wants you to be like Zelophehad's daughters and step out in confidence and courage and boldly request from God, God, I feel incomplete in this area of my life. And I believe that you have a promised land experience attached to me. And I want to possess all that you have got for me. So why don't you start your great evening off by asking yourself or your neighbor the question, what area of your life do you feel like you've been ripped off in? What area of your life do you feel like it's not how I'd want it to be, and I know it's not how it should be, but it is what it is? What is that area? Because God has a blessing attached to it. But you've got to overcome some giants in order to get to it. Have a great night.